Most men don't need rehab for sex and porn addiction. In fact, I've watched men spend $70,000 on treatment, come home, and relapse the same week. Why? Because they're trying to solve the wrong problem. Let me show you what I mean. To know whether you actually need rehab, you first need to understand what's actually happening in the brain when you act out. Because if you don't understand the problem, you probably choose the wrong solution. When you sit down to look at pornography, you start dropping into something close to a trance. That's why once you start, you often can't stop. Time just disappears. I've had guys tell me they sat down at 10 at night and then the next thing they know, it's 4 in the morning and they've got to be up and work for a couple hours. They genuinely don't know where the time went. I've seen wives look at their husbands and ask, how could you lose 6 hours? If you've never lived it, that question makes sense. It doesn't add up from the outside. What's happening is your reward system in your brain is getting hijacked, the same way it gets hijacked by a drug. And it's just like a drug, it needs more and more over time. Whatever used to do it for you 5 years ago may not be doing it anymore. So you're looking for something a little bit further, just to feel what a smaller hit used to give you. At some point, you're not even chasing arousal anymore, you're chasing relief. Porn isn't solving a sexual problem, it's relieving an emotional one: stress, loneliness, boredom, and shame. Whatever it is, porn is just the fastest exit you've found. So the better question isn't whether you can avoid porn for 30 days in a treatment center, it's whether you can stay sober lying awake after a fight with your wife. Whether you can stay sober on a Tuesday when nobody's watching, whether you can stay sober in real life when real life shows up again. Because if you can't do that, what would 30 days in rehab prove? A facility does something real. It pulls a man completely out of his life for a month, no work stress, no tension at home, no access to the room where he acts out 100 times. Add real clinical work on top of that: EMDR, brain spotting, licensed trauma therapist. On paper, you've got a man who looks fully healed. Getting removed from your life isn't the same as learning to live it differently. It's a little like learning to swim in a pool with a lifeguard standing 3 feet away. Then somebody drops you in the middle of an ocean. It's not that the swimming lessons failed him, he just never practiced in the water he's actually needed to survive in. He didn't relapse doing equine therapy at some peaceful treatment center, he relapsed in his own bathroom, on his own laptop, in the same house where this has been happening for years. The one place he actually needed to build sobriety, in the one place his entire treatment never touched. I want to be clear, this isn't true for every guy. If you're dealing with suicidal thoughts, if you're medically unsafe, if this has gotten so far out of control that you can't function day to day, residential treatment might genuinely be the right call. But that's not most of the men I work with. That's not who I'm talking about right now. Recovery has to happen in the exact place where you actually relapse. Sitting with a good therapist and working through what's underneath all of this is the real work, and every man dealing with this should be doing some version of it. Therapy can help you understand why you do it. It doesn't teach you what to do Saturday morning when the urges show up. Knowing why and knowing how to act differently in the moment are two separate skills. The gap is where most guys stay stuck for years. Let me tell you about a guy I'll call Dave. 36 years old, doing well in his career, the kind of guy nobody around him would ever guess he was carrying this. He's been using pornography since he was a teenager, stuck in a loop of binging, and then hating himself afterwards. One night, flipping through the years of journal entries at his kitchen table, he noticed the same sentence written over and over: "This is the last time." He told me he lost count of how many times he'd written it. David never went to rehab. He didn't leave his job or his house for a month. He learned how to handle the exact moments that used to break him with us. He found weekly groups with other men fighting the exact same fight. A coach he could actually call. Accountability sitting right there in his pocket. Picture a random Tuesday, stress building at the desk, that old pull shows up, same as always. Old Dave walks into the bathroom and pulls up porn on his phone. New David walks into the same bathroom and opens a group chat instead with guys who know exactly what he's feeling and gets real support until the urge passes. Same building, same stress, same urge, completely different response. He didn't recover by escaping his life. He recovered by learning to live inside of it differently, in the exact same spot where he used to fall apart. I also worked with a man, we'll call him Michael, who didn't catch it nearly that early. 47, ran his own business, had been fighting this for over 20 years. He looked his wife in the eyes more times either of us could count, and told her he was done, and then relapsed every time. He tried individual therapy, accountability software, filters on every device, self help books, 12-step meetings. He'd do well for a couple of weeks, sometimes a few months, then land right back where he started. His wife told him she wasn't sure she wanted to be married anymore. He described sitting alone in his car afterwards, keys in hand, not able to make himself go inside yet. Realizing he was about to lose the most important relationship in his life, Michael needed the same thing David needed, just 20 years later than he should have gotten it. Real structure, built inside actual marriage, his actual business, not away from them. Within weeks, he had boundaries that held. By the end, he was rebuilding trust through honesty and consistency instead of another promise he might break. Two men, 20 years apart in how long they waited, same program got them both out. You probably don't need to disappear for over a month and hand over $70,000 to prove to yourself or to your wife that you're serious this time. What you need is structure built into your real job, your real marriage, your real stress, because that's the only place where any of this ever actually gets tested. You don't recover by escaping your life. You recover by learning to live it differently. If this sounds like you, there's a link below where you can get on a confidential call with our team. We'll help you figure out what's actually driving this and what your real next steps look like. And if you've ever wondered if marriage can survive this addiction, be sure to watch the video showing up on the screen now.